Today we are going to talk about one of the most underrated character arcs in all of Naruto. We are going to discuss Hinata Hyuga, a character who went from being labeled as the ultimate failure of one of the most prestigious clans in the Hidden Leaf village to becoming someone who fundamentally changed what it means to be strong. This is not just a story about a shy girl who got stronger. This is a story about someone who quietly dismantled an entire system of belief through her actions and proved that the old ways of measuring strength were wrong. By the end of this video, you'll understand why Hinata's journey represents a silent revolution within the Hyuga clan, and why her story is far more significant than people give it credit for. Let me start with where Hinata began, because you cannot appreciate how far she came without understanding how low she started. Hinata was born as the first child and heir to Heihachi Hyuga, the head of the Hyuga clan. In most noble families, being the first-born child clan head would be an honor and a privilege. But in the Hyuga clan, it came with crushing expectations. The Hyuga were one of the founding clans of Konoha. They possessed a Byakugan, one of the three great dojutsu. Their gentle fist fighting style was legendary. They had a reputation to uphold, and that reputation was everything. From the moment Hinata could walk, she was being trained to become the next clan head. But there was a problem. Hinata was kind. She was gentle. She did not have the aggressive, dominating personality that the Hyuga clan valued. When she sparred with her younger sister Hanabi, she hesitated to strike. When she was supposed to show superiority, she showed compassion instead. To her father Heihachi and the clan elders, this was not just disappointing. It was unacceptable. Here is what you need to understand about the Hyuga clan to grasp why they treated Hinata the way they did. The Hyuga were obsessed with strength and superiority. They had a literal caste system built into their family structure. The main family ruled, and the branch family served. Members of the branch family were marked with a curse seal that allowed the main family to control them and cause them pain. This was not just a tradition. It was enforced through actual torture. The entire clan structure was built on the idea that some people were born superior to others, and that strength was the only thing that mattered. Neji, Hinata's cousin, was born into the branch family. His father, Hisashi, was Heihachi's twin brother. They were identical in every way except birth order. Hisashi was born second, so he was marked with the curse seal and relegated to the branch family. When a diplomatic incident threatened to cause war, Hisashi was killed in place of Heihachi to maintain peace. Neji grew up believing that his father was forced to die because the main family saw branch family members as disposable tools. This is the environment Hinata grew up in, a clan that believed in absolute hierarchy, that measured worth purely by combat ability, and that had no room for kindness or compassion. And Hinata, the heir to this clan, was the opposite of everything they valued. She was empathetic when they wanted ruthless. She was hesitant when they wanted decisive. She was gentle when they wanted fierce. Heihachi made a decision that would define Hinata's childhood. He declared that Hinata was not fit to be the heir and that her younger sister Hanabi would take her place instead. Think about what this means. Hinata was not just demoted. She was publicly declared a failure by her own father. In a clan where strength and status were everything, she had been labeled as worthless. Most people would have been crushed by this. Many would have given up entirely or become bitter and resentful. But Hinata did neither. Instead, something interesting happened. Being removed as heir actually freed Hinata in a strange way. She was no longer under the same intense pressure to become someone she was not. She could not disappoint the clan anymore because they had already written her off. And in that space, away from the suffocating expectations, Hinata began to develop her own path. But before we get to that, we need to talk about Naruto. Hinata first saw Naruto when they were both very young. Naruto was being bullied by other children because he was a container of the Nine-Tails Fox. Everyone in the village either feared him or hated him. He was completely alone. Hinata understood that feeling. She was alone too, in her own way. Her clan had rejected her. Her father looked at her with disappointment. She had no confidence in herself. She saw Naruto being attacked by bullies, and she wanted to help, but she was too afraid. Then she watched Naruto stand up. He was outnumbered. He was weaker than the bullies, but he refused to give up. He kept getting back up no matter how many times he was knocked down. And in that moment, Hinata saw something that changed her life. She saw that strength was not just about being the most powerful or the most talented. Strength was about refusing to give up even when everything seemed hopeless. Naruto had something she did not have. He had unbreakable determination. From that day forward, Naruto became Hinata's inspiration. She admired him not because he was strong, but because he never quit. She began training harder, not to prove anything to her clan, but because she wanted to be more like Naruto. She wanted to have that same courage. This is important because Hinata's motivation for getting stronger was fundamentally different from most ninja. She was not training to gain recognition or to become the best. She was training to become someone who would not run away, someone who could protect the people she cared about. When we see Hinata during the academy days and early in the series, she appears to be exactly what her clan said she was. Weak, timid, unable to stand up for herself. She could barely talk to Naruto without fainting. She apologized constantly. She seemed to confirm every negative thing her father and clan believed about her. But there were small moments that hinted at something more. When she was put on teammate with Kiba and Shino under Kurenai's leadership, she began to slowly open up. Kurenai, unlike Hayashi, did not see Hinata as a failure. She saw potential. The Chunin exams were the first major test of how far Hinata had come. During the preliminary matches, Hinata was matched against Neji. This was significant for multiple reasons. Neji hated the main family because of what happened to his father. He believed that fate was absolute and that people could not change their predetermined destiny. Hinata represented everything he despised about the main family. To him, she was a spoiled, privileged failure who did not deserve her position, but got it anyway because of birth. Before the match, Neji told Hinata to give up. He told her she was not suited to be a ninja and that she should quit. He said that people cannot change their nature and that she would always be weak. And here is where we see the first real sign of Hinata's growth. She refused to give up. Even though she was terrified of Neji and knew he was much stronger than her, she chose to fight anyway. Why? Because Naruto was watching. Because she wanted to prove to herself that she could be brave like he was. The fight itself was brutal. Neji completely outmatched Hinata in terms of skill and power. He systematically shut down her chakra points. He mocked her for being weak. He told her that her kindness was a fatal flaw. But Hinata kept getting back up. Every time Neji knocked her down, she stood up again. She was bleeding. She could barely stand. Her chakra network was destroyed. But she refused to quit. She gave everything she had even though she knew she could not win. Then Neji tried to kill her. After the match was already decided, after Hinata had clearly lost, Neji attacked her with killing intent. He was stopped at the last second, but the message was clear. To Neji and to the Hyuga clan's way of thinking, someone as weak as Hinata did not deserve to live. She had proven she was a failure, so she should be eliminated. But Naruto, who had been watching the whole fight, was furious. He told Neji that he was going to beat him in the next round. He promised Hinata that he would avenge her. This moment is crucial for understanding Hinata's character development. She lost the fight. She was brutally beaten. She nearly died. By every conventional measure, she had failed again, but she had also accomplished something far more important. She proved to herself that she had courage. She stood her ground against someone who terrified her. She refused to give up even when giving up would have been the logical choice. She showed that she had the same spirit as Naruto, that refusal to quit no matter what. And Naruto noticed. For the first time, he really saw her. After the Chunin exams, Hinata continued training. She was not in the spotlight like Naruto or Sasuke. She did not have dramatic power-ups or special training arcs with legendary ninja. She just quietly, persistently worked to improve herself. She studied the gentle fist style. She developed her own techniques. She worked on her confidence. This is important because Hinata's growth was not about gaining some special power or unlocking a hidden ability. It was about becoming mentally and emotionally stronger. Let's jump forward to the moment that defined Hinata's entire character arc. The moment when Pain attacked the Hidden Leaf village. By this point, Pain had already destroyed most of the village. He had defeated every ninja who challenged him, including Kakashi. He had Naruto pinned down. Naruto was exhausted and injured. Pain was interrogating him, trying to understand what motivated him. And all of Naruto's friends and the villagers were watching from a distance, paralyzed by fear. Nobody moved to help. They all knew that challenging Pain was suicide. After everything was resolved, Naruto and Hinata got married. But this was not a fairy tale ending where the princess marries a hero and lives happily ever after. This was two people who had inspired each other to become better, choosing to build a life together. Naruto became Hokage, the leader of the village, and Hinata became his partner and the mother of their children. But more than that, Hinata became the matriarch of the Hyuga clan. This is where Hinata's silent revolution becomes complete. The girl who was declared unfit to lead the clan ended up in a position of influence within it anyway, and through her example, she changed what the Hyuga clan valued. She raised her children, Boruto and Himawari, with kindness and encouragement rather than the harsh discipline that defined Hyuga tradition. She demonstrated that you could be strong without being cruel, that you could lead without dominating, that compassion was not weakness. The Hyuga clan in the Boruto era is noticeably different from the Hyuga clan we saw at the beginning of Naruto. The rigid hierarchy is less emphasized. The branch family curse seal system appears to be gone or at least no longer enforced. There is less focus on superiority and more acceptance of different paths to strength. While we cannot attribute all of this change solely to Hinata, her influence is undeniable. She proved through her life that the old way was wrong. Let's now compare Hinata's journey to other characters in the series to understand what makes her arc unique. Many characters in Naruto start weak and become strong. Rock Lee, Naruto himself, even Sakura to some extent. They all follow the typical shonen protagonist path of training hard and unlocking new powers. But Hinata's growth was different. Her physical abilities improved, yes, but that was not the core of her transformation. Her real growth was psychological and emotional. Hinata's greatest battles were not against external enemies. They were against her own fear and self-doubt. Every time she stood up when she wanted to run away. Every time she spoke up when she wanted to stay silent. Every time she fought when she knew she would lose. She was battling against a voice in her head that told her she was not good enough. And over the course of the series, she won that battle. Not all at once, but gradually, through consistent effort and courage. This makes Hinata's story more relatable than many other character arcs in Naruto. Most people will never have to save the world or fight in a ninja war. But most people do struggle with self-confidence. Most people do feel inadequate sometimes. Most people have been told they are not good enough at something. Hinata's journey from someone who believed she was worthless to someone who recognized her own value is a journey that resonates with real human experience. Another unique aspect of Hinata's arc is that she never stopped being kind. Many stories feature characters who start out gentle and kind but become harder and more aggressive as they grow stronger. The message often seems to be that kindness is a weakness that must be overcome. But Hinata proved the opposite. She became stronger while remaining compassionate. Her kindness was not a flaw to be corrected. It was a strength to be combined with courage. This is revolutionary in the context of the Hyuga clan's philosophy. The clan believed you had to be ruthless to be strong. Hayashi represented this perfectly. He was powerful, respected, and completely lacking in warmth or empathy. He saw his own daughter as a failure and treated her accordingly because she did not fit his narrow definition of strength. But Hinata proved that his definition was incomplete. True strength includes compassion. True strength includes the ability to connect with others emotionally. True strength includes the courage to be vulnerable. Consider what Hinata accomplished through her approach. She inspired Naruto at critical moments when his own determination wavered. She earned the respect of her teammates and peers through her consistent effort. She survived encounters with enemies who were far more powerful than her through cleverness and persistence. She became a key support for Naruto during his journey to become Hokage, and she fundamentally changed the culture of one of the most traditional and rigid clans in the village. All of this was accomplished not through overwhelming power, but through consistent courage and compassion. There is a beautiful irony in Hinata's story. She was removed as heir because she was not strong enough by her father's standards. But in the end, she became arguably the most important member of her generation in the Hyuga clan. Not because she defeated everyone in combat, but because she represented a better way forward. She showed that the clan's obsession with superiority and dominance was holding them back. She proved that adapting and growing was stronger than rigidly holding to tradition. Let's also talk about Hinata's fighting style and how it reflected her character growth. The gentle fist technique used by the Hyuga clan is interesting because it is about precision rather than raw power. It requires you see the opponent's chakra network with the Byakugan and strike at specific points to shut down their chakra flow. This is a perfect metaphor for Hinata's approach to life. She did not try to overpower her obstacles. She found precise, thoughtful ways to overcome them. Hinata also developed her own unique techniques within the gentle fist style. The protection of the 8 trigram 64 palms was a defensive technique that showed her focus on protection rather than just offense. This was different from the traditional aggressive Hyuga style. Even in combat, Hinata maintained her core value of protecting others rather than just dominating opponents. As she grew stronger, Hinata's Byakugan also evolved. She increased its range far beyond what most Hyuga could achieve. This is significant because the Byakugan represents perception and awareness. Hinata's expanded vision symbolized her expanded understanding of the world and herself. She learned to see things that others, including her clan, could not see. She saw the value in kindness. She saw the strength in vulnerability. She saw possibilities that rigid thinking would miss. Now let's address some criticisms of Hinata's character and whether they are fair. Some people argue that Hinata's entire character was defined by her love for Naruto and that she did not have enough independent development. There is some truth to this criticism. Naruto was certainly her primary motivation for much of the series, but I would argue this misses the deeper point of her character. Hinata's admiration for Naruto was not about romantic love initially. It was about seeing someone who embodied the qualities she wanted to develop in herself. Naruto represented courage, determination, and refusal to give up. These were not just traits she found attractive. They were traits she actively worked to cultivate in herself. Naruto was her inspiration, but the work of changing herself was something only she could do. Nobody could give her courage. She had to find it within herself. Furthermore, while Naruto was important to Hinata's development, she also had significant relationships and moments that had nothing to do with him. Her relationship with her sister Hanabi, her training with Kurenai, her teamwork with Kiba and Shino, her interaction with Neji, these all contributed to her growth. And her decision to face pain was not just about romantic love. It was about her values, her courage, and her refusal to stand by while someone she cared about suffered. Another criticism is that Hinata became less prominent after she married Naruto, and that her character was reduced to being a supportive wife and mother. This is partially a consequence of the series shifting focus to the next generation in Boruto, but it is worth examining. Hinata in Boruto is shown primarily in domestic scenes, supporting her children and husband. She rarely engages in combat or has her own storylines. This can be seen as disappointing because it seems to suggest that after achieving her growth, Hinata's story was over. However, there's another way to look at it. Hinata chose this role. She chose to focus on her family. And given her childhood, where she received no emotional support from her father, her decision to be a loving and supportive parent for her children is itself meaningful. She broke the cycle of emotional coldness that defined the Hyuga clan's parenting style. That is its own kind of strength. Let's return to the main theme of Hinata's silent revolution. What did she actually revolutionize? She revolutionized what it means to be strong in the context of the Hyuga clan specifically and the ninja world generally. The traditional view, especially in the Hyuga clan, was that strength meant combat ability, dominance, and the willingness to be ruthless. Emotions were weaknesses. Compassion was a liability. The strong ruled and the weak served. Hinata demonstrated a different kind of strength. She showed that courage in the face of fear is strength. She showed that standing up for your beliefs, even when everyone tells you are wrong, is strength. She showed that being kind in a cruel world is strength. She showed that supporting others and lifting them up is strength. She showed that admitting your fears and working to overcome them is strength. And most importantly, she showed that you do not have to become someone else to be valuable. You can be strong while remaining true to yourself. This message was particularly important for the Hyuga clan. They had spent generations enforcing a rigid hierarchy based on the belief that some people were born superior. They marked children with curse seals and treated them as property. They measured worth purely through combatability. They rejected anyone who did not fit their narrow definition of what a Hyuga should be. Hinata's existence and success challenged all of this. She was not the most talented fighter. She was not naturally aggressive or dominant. She did not enjoy hurting others. By every traditional Hyuga measure, she should have remained a failure. But she became someone who made a real difference in the world. She became someone who inspired others. She became someone who helped save the world multiple times through her courage. And she did all of this while remaining kind and compassionate. The fact that she ended up married to the Hokage and raising the next generation of ninja with values of compassion and understanding was a final proof that her way worked. The Hyuga clan could no longer dismiss her as a failure when she had objectively succeeded in the most important ways. They had to acknowledge that their philosophy was incomplete at best and actively harmful at worst. This is what makes Hinata's arc a revolution. She did not overthrow the Hyuga clan leadership. She did not demand they change their ways. She did not force anything. She simply lived according to her own values and proved through her actions that those values were valid. She changed the system from within by refusing to accept its judgment of her. This is a more sustainable and profound change than one imposed by force. The concept of a silent revolution is important here. Loud revolutions involve protests, confrontations, and dramatic upheaval. Silent revolutions happen when individuals quietly refuse to accept unjust systems and live according to better principles. Over time, their example inspires others, and the old system crumbles not because it was attacked, but because people stopped believing in it. Hinata's revolution was silent because she was not trying to lead a movement. She was just trying to become someone she could be proud of. But in doing so, she became an example that others could follow. She showed people that the old ways were not the only ways. She demonstrated that you could reject the parts of your culture that were harmful while still honoring the parts that were valuable. In conclusion, Hinata Hyuga's character arc represents one of the most meaningful journeys in Naruto. She went from being declared worthless by the people who should have supported her to becoming someone who changed the fundamental values of her clan. She went from being unable to stand up for herself to being willing to die protecting someone she loved. She went from being paralyzed by self-doubt to being confident in her own worth. And she accomplished all of this without compromising her core values of kindness and compassion. Hinata's story teaches us several important lessons. First, that strength comes in many forms and that courage is as important as power. Second, that the opinions others have of you do not define your worth or your potential. Third, that consistent effort over time can lead to profound transformation. Fourth, that you can change systems and cultures through your example rather than through force. And fifth, that being kind in a harsh world is not weakness, but one of the highest forms of strength. The girl who was told she was not fit to be a ninja became a ninja who saved the hero. The heir who was declared a failure became a matriarch who transformed her clan's values. The timid child who could not speak became a woman who confidently stood beside the Hokage. This is not just a story about getting stronger. This is a story about proving that the definition of strength itself needed to change. This is Hinata's silent revolution, and it is one of the most powerful narratives in the entire Naruto series. Thank you for watching this deep dive into Hinata Hyuga's character arc. Her story resonates because it reminds us that our worth is not determined by how others see us, but by who we choose to become. Whether you related to her struggles with confidence, admired her courage, or appreciate her kindness, Hinata's journey from failure to the strongest Hyuga is a testament to the power of perseverance and staying true to yourself.